I've Run My Course by Nicola Winters. Chapter 3. I sat there in the hospital bed, confused about what was going on. I've been here for hours, hoping for my parents to show up, yet they never did. There was a doctor that said sorry about something, yet I couldn't understand till he said, I'm sorry I couldn't have saved you. Well, that may explain something about why I feel so light. After the doctor left, I stayed in the room, trying to remember what happened, yet I truly can't. The bandage on my eye was no longer there. After more analyzation, I realized I had no more bandages, and what was on me was just scars. There was something on my back that felt soft yet solid. There was a figure standing by me that I didn't notice for a while, that in some way had feathers and wings that were almost solid white. She gave me a page that had 2 options on it. I looked at the page and saw that the options were to go to the Field of Souls now, or become Victor's guardian. From what I remembered from doing my research on the topic, a guardian helps the person succeed and protects them. I got a quill handed towards me as I took it into my hand before I looked around for a thing of ink. When looking around, I saw white feathered wings that faded to silver on almost every feather, with one feather that was super noticeable on each wing, that was half white and half black. I found some ink that made my choice to stay by Victor's side. Not too long after I signed the page, Victor came into my room with the doctor looking at my body. Victor was also in a hospital gown, and looked a bit roughed up, like he was crying for over an hour. He had scratches all over him with what looked like sprains and bruises. His ribs were broken from what I could see, and what looked like some stitches. What happened to him? After a while, the doctor came back and brought Victor coffee and a coffee cake, and we're sitting there talking. I learned that the doctor was actually a therapist named Elijah Whitlock, who was meant to talk to Victor. Victor started to cry again after he got a piece of paper which looked like the note I was going to give him today. He grew tired and fell asleep. Just like earlier, I hugged him. Elijah stayed by Victor's side for a while, after he fell asleep, before he walked out. I followed him curiously to see Victor's parents, worried with the doctor explaining things to do for people who have PTSD. He's still in the room with Gabriel, but he fell asleep. I request that you allow me to be his therapist after everything he's been through. I don't see why this is even affecting him, Victor's father said a bit coldly. He witnessed his friend's death, and it's affecting him a lot. I fear he may do something drastic if he doesn't go to therapy, Elijah said, getting Victor's parents to think a bit before they agreed. After that, I decided to go back to Victor's side to rest in the dimly lit room. I've Run My Course by Nicola Winters. Chapter 4. My head throbbed in a bit of pain as I woke up, showing me how hard I cried without realizing it. My body wasn't hurting as much as it was yesterday, yet still was present as I sat up at the desk. There was a hoodie over my shoulders, and the curtains were slightly open, showing the room as a pretty empty one. The coffee that was on the desk next to me last night was gone, with the coffee cake put near the note from Gabriel. I heard a knock echo through the door, before I heard a familiar voice through the door. "Victor, may I come in?" The voice sounded like Elijah's, but I couldn't be too sure due to not knowing him very well. Sure," I said tiredly, and finally realizing how much energy it can take to talk. Elijah walked in, letting a barrage of light. "How are you feeling, dear?" he asked, walking over to the windows and opening the curtains a bit more, revealing a really clean room, with bookcases and a new bed. It had a bit of a theme of white and grey. "I'm not completely sure," I said, being honest with him. He gave me a gentle look before he started messing with something that looked like a wheelchair and a pair of crutches. "I talked to the hospital and they said you'd be here about a week to make sure your stitches don't get messed up. They were fine with you being transferred to this room," said, putting the pillows in fresh pillowcases. "Your parents had something they needed to do, but they would be back tonight, and we'll bring you some things from your house to make this time more comfortable." He turned towards me with a light smile when he saw my small bit of curiosity. "A lady wanted to come in and talk to you about something, and Dr. Langston wanted me to let him know when you woke up." "Who's Dr. Langston?" "He's your doctor while you were here." "Would you be alright if the lady came in?" he asked. "I guess I wouldn't as long as you were here with me when she does," I said timidly. "Of course," he said with a light smile. "I'm going to go get Dr. Langston now, if you don't mind. Would you like anything to eat or drink?" "No, thank you," I said, still lacking the appetite, even after everything that happened. "All right," Elijah said, seeming a bit worried about something. "I'd like it if you tried to eat again later." He left the room, and after a bit of time, the doctor from last night entered, taking a look at me. "You seem to be doing all right," Dr. Langston said after a while. "You look dehydrated. I'll have Mr. Whitlock bring you some water. How's everything feeling?" Unreal, I said quietly, looking away from him. "Is there any pain?" All I did was nod, and I guess he could see that I'm not in the mood. Not in a talkative mood. "Would you like to talk about anything?" I shook my head before laying my head on the desk again. "All right. There's someone here to talk to you if you ever want to," Dr. Langston said, taking a step out of the door and left. It was a while before Elijah came back with the lady from yesterday and a cup of water. That he placed on the table next to me. The lady took a seat across from me, and I sat up to look her in the eyes. "I'm sorry to be bothering you, but I truly wanted to express my gratitude to you for what you did yesterday. Thanks to you, my kids and husband lived." My husband even decided after everything to go to rehab and stop drinking, she said, crying a bit. I don't think I could ever thank you enough. She took a letter and card out of her bag and placed it in front of me. It's no problem, I mumbled. I hope you kids have a long and happy life. With those words, she stood up, turned around, and left. You seem to be popular, Lydo said as he scrolled through the town page, and then some national posts about me. She looked like a normal mom though, so why would those blow up around the town, let alone through some of the nation? That lady that came in was a somewhat known actor. His words were like a response to. His words were like it was a response to him reading my mind. She wrote here that a boy that is 17 years of age saved a full family after a car crash, and how grateful she was to you. The kid's name was Victor Loomston, and in the process of trying to save one last person, the building collapsed on them both, leaving Victor injured and the other kid, who was 16, dead when they were found. I guess what she wrote wasn't wrong, but it gave me too much credit when I couldn't save him. Please, just leave me alone for a while, I said, trying not to be rude. Alright. I'll be back to check on you later, Lydo said, standing up before he left.